Howdy folks, I'm Brian and here's some Reddit. Our first story is titled, Am I a Jerk for Embarrassing My Husband by Leaving My Party and Going Home? Last Saturday, my husband and 8 of our friends went to a local pub to celebrate my 40th birthday. Restrictions where I live are loosened, so we thought we would go and have a nice meal and chat with our friends that we haven't been able to spend time with in over a year. I'm very introverted and shy. I do not like large groups of people, and I start to get anxious and have trouble breathing in very loud environments. My husband knows this and is aware of this and has been throughout the entirety of our 18-year marriage. When we go to the restaurant, he's acting very odd. I just chalk it up to being our first time in a restaurant in over a year. Right after we finished eating, he excused himself to go to the restroom. About 5 minutes later, he returns with a giant balloon, bouquet, and a cake, and a line of waitstaff behind him clapping and singing. All of our friends at the table were recording me on their phones. People at other tables were clapping, and all I wanted to do was crawl under the table and hide. The noise was unbearable to me. I started sweating and shaking and couldn't breathe, so I excused myself from the table and left the restaurant. I took an Uber home and left my husband at the restaurant. He drove his car with everyone else. When I got home, I just laid in bed and cried. I felt humiliated. He came home an hour later, yelling at me and accusing me of embarrassing him. I yelled back that he knew that I do not like things like that, and he knows how I feel about it. I told him that he completely humiliated me in front of all of our friends and complete strangers. He said it was my 40th birthday and that I should be grateful to him for planning such an event. I told him I was not grateful, that he did not consider my feelings at all, and that he truly betrayed me by doing this. He is currently not speaking to me. He says that I need to send an apology text to all of our friends to make things right. He also says that he will not speak to me until I apologize to him for making a scene at the restaurant. Am I a jerk for leaving the restaurant and embarrassing him? Edit, thank you for all of the replies. I appreciate everyone for commenting and giving such thoughtful and kind advice. Even the people calling me a jerk, I appreciate your honesty. I just wanted to say that I've been diagnosed with anxiety. I've been diagnosed with PTSD. This is from an abusive childhood. I have been in therapy for 22 years and my husband is well aware of my diagnosis and my triggers. He comes to counseling with me once a month. We did speak a little while ago and he did apologize. He said he wanted to do something nice for me and was hurt that things didn't go like he planned. I told him that what he did was not okay and it really hurt me because I trusted him and thought he understood how I'd feel about something like this. I told him he tricked me into thinking it was a meal with friends. It was a terrible thing to do. My friends know that I have anxiety, but not how bad. This was the first time they ever saw me have an anxiety attack. Well, OP, that's quite a story. I'm really sorry that your husband didn't really, think of you in this situation and kind of bypassed how you would feel about it. And I think that you reacted in a way where you were trying to escape. And I mean, the flight or fight response is sometimes flight. And so I think in that case, you ran away from what the immediate danger was. And even if there isn't like an actual danger, you can still have your fear responses. And so, yeah, I think that with him being aware of this, I think he just made a very poor decision. He probably thought it was going to be a nice thing, a nice way of getting together with people after a year and a nice way to celebrate your birthday. And it just turned out badly. So I'm really sorry to hear this. And no, I don't think that you're a jerk here. Not the jerk. He tried to do a kind gesture. But at this point in your marriage, he should have known how uncomfortable it would have made you. He says that I need to send an apology text to all of our friends to make things right. I'm sorry you had to witness my husband humiliating me in public. He knows that was the last thing I would ever want to live through. I'm sorry you felt the need to record it. Yeah, I mean, the next comment is, this is an incredibly immature and an unproductive response. And, I think that throwing your husband under the bus like that in this case probably would not be a very good thing. It sounds like they've already talked anyhow and kind of worked things out. So, yeah. All right. Let's take a break. It's tea time. Have you grabbed your cup of tea or beverage of choice? I have. Today, I have another tea. Can you guess what kind it is before I take a sip? This one is one of Amber's teas. It's actually pretty tasty. And what I have in here is like a little Nessie tea thing because it's loose leaf tea. And it's called Forever Nuts. It's actually a little bit of a pink tea. You probably can't see it without me spilling everything on my keyboard. So it's very, very nutty. Cue the jokes from the people saying, just like you, Brian. That's alright. I'm endeared to it. Our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Buying My Girlfriend New Perfume? My girlfriend, a 26-year-old female, and I, a 24-year-old male, have been dating for a little while, like 3 months. She's a stripper, which I am 100% fine with and don't mind at all, and I actually find it kind of hot. Whenever she works, she wears these body washes and scrubs and lotions all over her body, and creams and perfumes. It's all the same coordinated scents and whatnot whenever she goes to work. Like, she has this whole system and smells so good. But she refuses to wear them when she's not working, and on her off days when she's not at work. She told me she doesn't want to smell like work, that it takes too long and all that stuff. It's literally just wiping stuff on your skin and spraying a few sprays, but that's her prerogative. And says it's way too expensive. I mean, she really gets the drugstore body wash and generic lotions for her days off and just does literally nothing for me. She puts on all that stuff because she knows it smells nice and makes her skin feel nice. So why wouldn't she want to do it for her boyfriend? But I did look at the price and the stuff is pretty expensive, so as a gift, I bought her the works. It came out to just over $100 and she was really happy when I gave it to her. But when I mentioned that she now has enough to wear at home for me without having to buy it for herself, she got upset, said to take it all back, and now she's mad at me. My sister, one of my girlfriend's best friends, which is how we met, said I was a jerk, but I don't think I am. So, am I a jerk for checks notes, buying my girlfriend expensive lotions, perfumes, and body butters? So I think this is kind of a case of you bought her a gift for yourself. This wasn't a real gift in the respect that you bought it specifically so that you would benefit from it, and it wasn't a real gift to your girlfriend. If you had bought the gift and allowed her to use it in the way that she wanted to, or weren't expecting anything from it, then that might have been a real gift. But, you know, I've said it before, I'll say it again, a gift with strings attached is not a gift at all. So she thought this was a kind gesture until she realized that you had ulterior motives. She told you that she didn't want to smell like work. She probably doesn't want to smell like work because it reminds her of the people that she has to be around. Maybe she has bad experiences at work. Maybe she just wants to relax and have a nice day without doing all this additional stuff. But for whatever her reasons are, she just doesn't want to do it. And you know, maybe you were mistaken. I can give you some of the benefit of the doubt here. Maybe you thought the sole reason why she didn't want to do it was because it was expensive and she didn't want to waste it for that. Well, now you have your answer, and that certainly is not the case. She just does not want to smell like work. You're the jerk. That wasn't a gift. That was you trying to get your wants met. She told you she doesn't want to bother with the scents and lotions. It wasn't a gift, it was an obligation, and that's why she's mad. Also, he could have bought her some perfume that didn't smell like work, but he didn't do that. Yeah, this is actually something that I was thinking about when I read that. It seems like they could have bought them another expensive perfume, and then that probably would have allowed them to smell, nice or something like that without it being work-related. I used to be a stripper. The relationships smell to work no matter the type of scent, as we each have our own and it mingles in the dressing rooms, brings back strong, strong memories of having to deal with bad men, being extreme heels for 8 hours plus. Like, even if a man enjoyed the smell, do you really want to have her reminded of work on her days off at home with you? All OP has done is remind her of all the stuff she puts up with at work. It's only at home now. Nobody likes that, stripper or not. I'm gonna defer this one to the expert. All right, our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for not telling my daughter's mother her secret words? Cast, me, a 36-year-old male, my daughter Clara, a 12-year-old female, my ex-wife Sarah, a 37-year-old female, and a few backstory details. Sarah and I got married when Clara was born and separated when she was 6 years old. Clara spends her time 50-50 between us with 2 weeks split. We both live in the same city, so her friends and schooling are consistent, not constantly switching back and forth. The event in question. This all started when I read The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien to Clara 2 years ago. We talked about how he was a linguist and actually had created several languages from scratch for that story. This captured my daughter's imagination. She has been obsessed with linguistics ever since, and I have been happy to provide many text and information as I can. Almost all of it is for higher level students, but I do my best to help her understand it. I am definitely not a linguist, and she definitely knows more than I do at this point. For about a year, she's been creating her own language, which she calls Nista. I think that's the spelling. It's only verbal. This language isn't just English with different sounds for the different words. It's actually a new language. She created different conjunctions, syntax, grammar. Just one example is a bunch of different suffixes to indicate emotion that can be attached to any word. Clara and I speak Nasta together for probably about 60% of our conversations. It is the highlight of my entire life. I cannot believe how creative my daughter is. Sarah remarried 5 years ago, and I haven't been in a relationship since we divorced. Clara prefers her time at mine, something I definitely don't encourage. I want her to be happy at both, but she has never been comfortable around her stepdad and stepbrother. I think he is around the same age as her, but I'm not positive. I knew that Clara had never taught Sarah any Nista, which I was selfishly kind of happy about. I loved having this language that only me, my daughter, and her friends shared. However, when Sarah dropped Clara off this week, she informed me that she hadn't spoken anything but that gobbledygook for the entire 2 weeks she was with her. Sarah demanded that I teach her the secret words. I refused and explained that if Sarah wanted her to know any Nista, I stressed his name because Sarah kept disparaging it, she would have taught it to her. I then closed the door in her face. Sarah texted me saying that there could be an emergency and that she would need to know. I said that she still knows English if there is an emergency. I haven't talked to her teachers at school. Her English teacher said that Clara has shown her language, but only briefly. In all of her classes, including English, she speaks English. Thinking it over, I don't know if I did the right thing or not. This is a massive part of our daughter's life, and one that she isn't letting her mother into. She has told me that she wants to go to college for linguistics, so this isn't anything temporary. So Reddit, am I the jerk? Alright, OP, I'm gonna have to say that I'm so happy that you're taking an interest in your daughter's hobbies and her passions, and I think that's really good. And it sounds like your ex-wife is not. And if I had to make a guess, probably your ex-wife and your daughter got into an argument or a spat or something like that. And basically your daughter did this to ignore or not have to communicate with your wife. Or your ex-wife, I'm sorry. So that's what I would guess, and this was probably a little immature on her part, but basically it was her giving the equivalent of the silent treatment to your ex-wife. You are under no obligation to teach your ex-wife a new language. I'm sorry, if she wants to learn this, then she needs to sit down and talk with her daughter and say, hey, I'm really interested in your language, and would you please take some time and teach it to me? And your daughter may very well be excited and interested in doing that. But again, if your ex-wife is over there, saying, oh, not this stuff again, or yeah, you need to quit this stuff, she may just do it to egg her mother on. So that's kind of where I see this going. I think the only place that you could have been a little nicer is not to slam the door in your ex-wife's face. I think that was probably inappropriate, but, again, where I think that you're not a jerk at is certainly you're not obligated to teach her, your daughter's language. Not the jerk. Here's the thing. It's not really hard to guess why Clara prefers your house. Kids generally don't like it when their parents move on after a divorce. A lot of times it feels like a betrayal to them. Sarah has done this, and Clara isn't happy about it. She doesn't want another Barrist and sibling. She wants her parent. You haven't dated, so in her eyes at least, you are the only parent that is completely devoted to her. I know it bothers you that Sarah seems unsupportive of Clara's language, but to you it's a purely happy thing, an example of your child's brilliance and creativity. For Sarah, it's a constant reminder that Clara prefers you and that she's being excluded from a big part of her child's life. That it's not your fault, but I'm sure you can see why that makes her a bit resentful of the language, especially after 2 weeks of Clara using it intentionally to alienate her. That being said, I don't think you should teach Sarah the language. To Clara, it will be a massive betrayal, and it won't solve the problem of why she's doing it. Do your best to encourage a positive relationship with her mom and stepfamily. Communicate as much as possible with Sarah about how Clara is doing and what's going on in her life. And get Clara into some counseling if you can help her deal with her feelings. I think the solution here is to help get Clara to the point where she's not wanting to alienate herself from her mom and stepfamily anymore. If you just take away her means, she will simply find a new way to do it, and then she'll be much angrier at you. Yeah, I mean, I can actually agree with most of this. We don't really know the full scale of things, and it sounds like OP says that this is an extremely helpful and insightful comment. So this may actually be very close to what's going on. I also think that, she may very well be using this as a way to alienate her mother, and it's basically giving her the silent treatment with words. But we don't know necessarily why she's alienating her mom. It may very well be because she's moved on, but it may also just be that her mother isn't very supportive of her, and that may be part of the reason. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving me a like. If you didn't, consider giving me a dislike. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.